Originally, this was going to be 2 separate videos, but since they both pertain to the same subject matter, I said to myself, self, why not just make one big, beautiful BBW for the world to enjoy, and all the roles and folds could just magically fall into place. And I said, self, that's a wonderful idea. For the full week, I'm certain a few of you have seen clips and commentary from other individuals as it pertains to a track race gone wrong when 2 young girls, as they're nearing the final lap and the final turn, collide in a brief interaction that leads to one of them having a concussion. And if you haven't seen the video, here it is on the screen at one of, I believe, at least 2 or 3 angles where it appears one of the individuals involved in this is giving the other one a nice rough conk to the back of the head, which left the one who had to collapse to the ground on her knees with a concussion. Now, I'm certain, looking at that, you might think that's unsportsmanlike, and that's not right, and that is not fair. And I would agree. And you might have some sympathy for the young girl who's in this race participating, and it appears like she's lapping this individual. And you might say that's not fair, and I hope she's doing okay, and I hope her concussion heals, and I hope down the line in the future she doesn't have any lingering effects. And you know what? That's a wonderful thing to consider. Those are wonderful things. But while you are focusing on the physical aspects and injury to this young girl, have you thought about the mental of the one who whopped her upside the back of her head?
So, you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right? They're going off of one angle.
I think what's funny is that was supposed to be everybody's wake-up call to stop criticizing this, and it didn't work. Various people have seen this tearful reaction, and how dare they speak to us like this, and how dare you criticize my character. And I'm gonna be honest, as someone watching this for the first time, I thought, wow, you're a little bit unsportsmanlike. Do I think you have malicious intent to put somebody in a coma? No. I just think you're a sore loser, and you let the sore loserness inside get the better of you, and for some reason you thought to yourself, bink, I'm just gonna give her one to the back of the head and keep going as if nobody's seeing this, even though we live in a world where social media will dictate, yeah, everybody's watching you every step of the way. And of course, people saw this news clip and it went viral and people had reactions. People thought that she was being a little bit uncharitable. They were not fans of the parents nor the coach, who was all saying these wonderful things to distract from the fact that this girl hit another girl upside the head with a rod, which I don't know if it was metal, I don't know if it was wood, I don't know if it was plastic. All I know is it gave somebody a concussion, which means it had some strong material, and she packed a wallop to make sure that whoever was trying to pass her up really wasn't going to get that chance. And in the middle of all these reactions and people giving their opinions, she is getting petitioned to be charged with battery or assault because, yeah, based on the video evidence, it looked like she had strong intent. And her rationale being, hey, we're coming up on this lap and she's getting a little bit too close and our hands are a little bit intertwined and it's causing me to flail around.
Alayla says her opponent was running very close to her. The closeness caused Alayla to lose her balance. Alayla says the only reason she did not apologize at the meet was because she was following the directions from her track coach.
Just seeing one video and it looks bad from that angle.
A certified USA track and field official even slowed down the video to show just how close the 2 athletes were competing.
Even certain things out did so much damage to our family.
You know, it sounds kind of good, sounds almost reasonable. But again, that old-fashioned video evidence to prove or disprove one saying comes into play, because when you look at this angle of the whole thing, it looks as if she's winding that thing up because she's getting passed or a little bit bumped, and she says, bam, and just gives her one to the back of the head, which really doesn't help her case. And when people were seeing that there's this small petition to get her charged, they supported that. They were all in favor of it. But again, I asked you a couple minutes ago, I'm gonna ask you again, are you worried about the mental of somebody who did some sore loser shit? And are you concerned that maybe, just maybe, all of your opinions about how this little girl is a sore loser might affect her, not the person she gave a concussion, but her and how she feels about this?
stand with you. That's why we here. We stand with you. We support you.
Thank y'all for supporting me. Because nobody else wanted to hear my story except for people that know me and people that know I would never do anything like that. I would never harm anybody. I'm not a fighter. I'm not even confrontational. I wouldn't even do that on purpose. And I thank y'all for believing in me, and I love y'all.
I think it's funny that all of these people are there to support this girl and are there with that girl and are upset that everybody's viewing her in a negative light, yet everybody else on the planet who's seeing this video footage is like, yeah, y'all trying to make this like it's some sympathetic witch hunt, when in reality, she did some sore loser shit and deserves to be criticized for it. Do I think she's gonna end up in jail? No. I think she's gonna get maybe kicked off the team, maybe suspended from the team, and ultimately you could cut the waterworks, because the only people who believe in you are your family, which is gonna be a given, and the dumb people who refuse to actually look at that video evidence and say, yeah, you kind of had a little bit of intent with that, and time will tell how much your teary eyes work on a group of people who have their phones recording everything 24/7, and that's probably not going to be the lucrative idea for you. Now for part two, because I feel like this one a lot of people may not know about, but by the time this gets uploaded, it may have hit the rounds and people are going to start having their opinions more and more and more as it becomes more of a viral issue. But there was a school fight that happened very recently between a boy and a girl. And for brevity's sake, because these reactions dictate that I must bring this up, it was a Latino male and a black woman. The most disrespected group in American history, having a little bit of scuffle in the classroom with a substitute teacher. Keep that in mind. And these individuals, based on the video, are in a fight, and this boy is whooping her ass.
Look at this, a warning. This story has video that may be disturbing to some viewers. It shows what appears to be a student knocking out another student while spewing racial slurs. This happened inside a middle school classroom. The incident, of course, has some parents angry.
And has activists demanding immediate action. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez in Colton with the story for us. Christina?
Yeah, and I want to reiterate the disturbing aspects of that video, not only being the fact where you're going to see, as much as we have tried to blur these minors' faces, but how many times we've had to bleep the bad words and the racial slurs. With that said, watch. The video begins with the larger male student pulling the smaller female by the hair as other students laugh, some even using racial slurs. At one point, the smaller student throws something at the boy as the encounter continues, with the male ultimately slamming the girl onto a desk. The girl falls on the ground, not moving, as other students try to help, including this woman's daughter who was in class.
I should be a little bit more sensitive about this, but I can't be, because after watching that video at least 4 times, all I can say is he was whooping her ass, and it looked brutal. And on top of it, you got people giving their commentary in the background, and at least based off the video, one good person looked at this little girl getting her head creamed on a desk and said, you know what, I'm gonna help you up just a little bit. Keep that in mind also. And of course, it led to a bunch of people having their reactions. How dare this happen to a black girl? A bunch of people in this district or at this school are mean-spirited towards black individuals. A lot of people are seemingly calling for a witch hunt of a teenager, which I don't know why you would want to have that digital footprint on your back. And some people were questioning how this all started. And I'm gonna be honest, based off of the reactions I saw, I started to question how this started, because it's not hard to believe that people are bullies and they pick on individuals and they fight them. It's not really hard to believe. I don't live in a world where Candyland is a place where everyone makes sense. People are mean-spirited and people are always going to pick on someone smaller than them. And I wanted to know how this started, because based on reactions, people would have me believe that this guy walked into the classroom and just picked on somebody and just gave him the Womack. And it just didn't really sit right with me. And as time went on, on, it seems to be not the case at all. Remember when I said to keep the one student who decided to help the girl up in mind? Well, she's about to speak to you all via this news conference, and I want you to pay attention to the question being asked, the context around this fight taking place, and I want you to pay strong attention to who responds and how they respond.
It just escalated. The substitute teacher did not bother.
There was that. So your daughter told you there was
a teacher present.
I was trying to help her out because I was worried about her, and I was seeing if she was okay, so I took her to the office.
Colton police confirmed they responded to the school and cited both students, saying the video does not show what witnesses told them happened moments earlier, when the girl supposedly hit the young man who was, quote, struck in the head multiple times by a metal object. We tried asking Rosemary. The young girl supposedly hit this guy with a metal object several times over there before we see it, what we see on the video.
Yes. Yes.
Did that happen?
No, hold up. Let me speak to that.
Stepping in, activists denouncing the incident outside the school.
The video speaks for itself. So I don't care who started it or how it started. We saw the video. That young black child was innocent.
And hate has no place in Rialto Unified School District.
We asked district officials what was the teacher doing while all this was being videotaped.
A telephone call was made to safety officers. So when we said there was a decisive action taken, there was action taken. Everything in between is under investigation.
Now, at this point, no word on what's happened to the teacher. We know the boy was cited for assault with a deadly weapon, according to Colton police. The girl for battery on school grounds. They're also looking into other reports by parents that the boy may have been reported as bullying other students, but no confirmation on that. It's all under investigation.
I understand that in this world where we must fixate very deeply on the subject matter and the context, that way we have full information, that I also need to consider the racial aspects and how nothing matters, the context doesn't matter because the video proves what we all saw. And while the video does show a boy beating the shit out of this girl, what matters is the full story, not just the ending, because with the full story, we're able to have a little bit more of, what's that word, rhymes with bontext. Oh, context in making sure that we're not just randomly looking at something and thinking that, yeah, this is 100% what it is, because that's a mistake that we have done a little bit too many times that I wish we'd stop. As the community leaders spoke Thursday, Colton police issued a news release announcing that the combatants, who were both 14-year-old 8th graders, had been cited. The release described the boy as the victim and said that he was struck in the head multiple times with a metal object before the video was shot. Colton Police Sergeant Mike Sandoval, I probably butchered that, described the metal object as a drinking bottle and said both students were arrested, cited, and released. The girl for felony assault with a deadly weapon and the boy for misdemeanor battery both were suspended and face possible expulsion while the case is still under investigation. And when you look at this and then you see the reactions from people calling specifically for the boy to face only the punishment, not really understanding that this started apparently because of people slinging water bottles at each other and not being okay that they're getting hit with Stanley cups, you can tend to understand why somebody could be so upset that they're gonna want to fight. And you could spare me equality to the moon and people being women and people being girls. When you set yourself up to get in a fight, the rules are kind of off at that point. You can't really expect people to be calm, cool, and collective and say, that's just a girl when they getting hit with something. I'm just gonna be frank with you, and you could like give me some long paragraph speech about something. All I'm gonna say is, you, person who's gonna write that, you don't want to get hit upside your head with anything, and you're going to react very violently. Don't matter if you're a woman, don't matter if you're a man, you're gonna react very violently to somebody in your same age group hitting you upside your head with anything, let alone a fucking water bottle that might be a fucking Stanley cup. Now, seeing that it's March, and these are both 14-year-old 8th graders, and because it's March, it's the end of the school year essentially for both of them. I think the suspension is good enough for a school fight. I think maybe 2 weeks? I don't know how long the suspension is. Some suspensions are 3 days, some are a week. I think 2 weeks suspension will be a benefit to get these two away from each other, get them to maybe reconcile, and then keep them separated for the rest of the school year if the reconciliation doesn't work. Because overall, expulsion, while it would warrant it because they did get into a fight on school grounds, I think suspension, based on how they've acted throughout the entire school year, is perfectly fine and necessary. And should it go any further, that won't be my problem. That will be both of their fucking problems. But the reason I wanted these two specific things into one big video is to highlight that people go on social media, see something, see reactions, see people give like a nice little sob story, and they just 100% believe one side and one side only. A crowd of people will stand behind a girl who's proudly talking about her mental over somebody's physical when she's the one who caused the physical pain, and the video evidence shows a little bit of intent. The nice story of them being close enough to where your arms are flailing around could make sense if we didn't have different angles to make it seem like, yeah, you're getting lapped just a little bit and you're annoyed by it, and you just give one to the back of the head just because this person was in arm's reach of you able to do so. And it's a little bit disheartening that people are going to stand behind this individual knowing full well with looking at that video, you're going to have a different reaction than looking at her crying and saying, buddy, pump the fucking brakes. You are a sore loser. And in the second example, you see people giving their testimonies, opening up a witch hunt, expecting a 14-year-old to get their ass whooped by presumably grown adults, which is weird. And when you're adding more context to the story, you have grown adults moving in front of children to create their own narrative of random Mexican boy mad about not getting taquitos and tuacos and beating up fried chicken eater. That is a drastic level of a characterization that I just gave, but it needs to be stated that that's what's going on. You have people who are dead set in their ways to create their own version of the story because they saw something without looking at further context, without waiting for more information, without waiting for further details. And that's the problem a lot of people have with social media and random things going viral in an instant, is that you have people dedicated to sitting there and having their reactions dictate how they're going to move instead of looking at the facts of the matter, which will oftentimes destroy how you feel about something. You can want to support somebody. You can be on their side. You could feel like they have been treated unfairly given what you know at the time. But as the story evolves and the story kind of debunks a little bit what was said at the beginning, you need to start rubbing your eyes, removing the tears, removing all the stars, and looking at what's right fucking in front of you. And what's right in front of me is a sore loser who was mad that they was getting lapped just a little bit, who gave somebody a concussion, and a high school fight between two dumbass high school students. I don't even think 8th grade is high school. Middle school 14-year-olds who don't know no fucking better, and will have a 2-week, maybe a week, maybe 3-day suspension. And if it gets to a point, they'll be expelled, and the next topic will come about for all of us to sink our teeth into. And if I'm going to end this video, I'm going to end it like this. For the love of fuck, what is with y'all picking up all these metal objects and thinking, you know what, let me just launch this up somebody's head? That will cause damage. That will cause significant issue. And I said it earlier in the video, and I'm going to say it again. If you got hit upside the head with anything metal, wood, or even plastic, you gon' won't fucking fight. You can save the sympathy and all the no I wouldn't virtues for the motherfuckers on TikTok who you think would not do it also. Everybody else gon' want hands, and they gon' get their motherfucking hands. But subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all in the next one. Let me know, are you a fan of being sore losers? Are you a fan of school fights? Do you remember finally how you got beat up and it inspired you to pick on the next person and you fought them? Do you have trauma from the fights you've had in high school and middle school, and they carry on with you to this very day as you sit there crisscross applesauce watching a black man with a birthmark on the side of his head? I will see you all in the next one. Mwah! The ending got a little bit too descriptive now, didn't it?